Can you just jump into an airplane and take off? Well, not exactly, and here is why. Hi guys, we're back again with a new Europilot Center tutorial. In these videos we're handing you tools, tips and tricks used by professional pilots to make your flying safer and of course even more fun and enjoyable. Hey, and if you're new to the Europilot Center channel, don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button below. After having completed the before entering cabin checklist, it's time to board the airplane. When approaching the airplane, pay particular attention to any propeller hazard and keep sufficient distance from it when making your way to the cabin. Be careful not to hit your head on the wings. When carrying passengers, it's a good idea to demonstrate the boarding procedure. Assist them in the opening and closing of the doors and help them in getting comfortably seated. In order to open the pilot door, it should first be unlocked by means of the key. Note that the pilot door is the only door that can be locked from the outside. Once the door is unlocked, remove the key in order to prevent the key hanger to cause paint damage as the door is opened. To open the door firmly, pull the door handle left. The door will unlatch and it can be swung in the open position. A wind gust lock will enable the door to remain in the fully open position. Do not keep the doors open unnecessarily. Open doors are prone to wind damage and the dynamic loads when moving the airplane puts a huge strain on their hinges. When entering the airplane, avoid seeking support on the door or its armrests. The door hinges are only designed to support the door and not the pilot's weight. Before entering the cabin, ensure the door is in the fully open position and the seat is slid fully aft. This will provide maximum freedom of movement to get comfortably seated. A proper way of entering the cabin is by positioning your left foot on the entry step provided on the main wheel strut whilst holding the upper corner of the cabin entrance with your left hand. This allows for easily transferring your weight onto the pilot seat. Once seated, verify if your seat is in the correct position. First, we'll verify the longitudinal position. This can easily be done by verifying whether you can touch the instrument panel with your fist. However, when doing this, avoid touching the G1000 screens. Also verify that you can use the flight controls over their full extent. Pay special attention to the ability to provide full rudder deflection. Next, we'll verify the seating height. Carefully adjust the seat height so you can see the entirety of the engine cowling. Having the proper seat height helps in a good assessment of pitch attitude throughout the flight. It is important to try to be seated in the exact same position each and every flight. A good idea is to lock the seat belt prior to closing the door, since locking the belt with the door closed might be pretty difficult. When locking the seat belt, verify it is not twisted and the airbag marking is pointed towards you. Only in this way you are sure the airbag will deploy correctly when activated. Before closing the door, verify if the door lever is in the fully F position. This is the only lever position that allows closing of the door. After having verified the lever position, the door can be closed by giving the armrest a firm pull and allowing the door lever to pop forward. Once the door is closed, pushing the door lever flush to the armrest will lock the door. To open the door, the lever needs to be pulled fully aft and the door swung completely open. Once you're comfortably seated and prior to starting the engine, the before starting engine checklist must be completed. Throughout the execution of the checklist, you will call out every individual item aloud and confirm its proper condition by verbally stating the exact response. We will now do the before starting engine checklist. On your iPad, open the Garmin Pilot app and hit the checklist button. Now select the before starting engine checklist. Here we go. Before starting engine checklist. Tow bar. Removed. Verify whether the tow bar is removed and stowed securely in the baggage compartment. Chocks. Removed. Verify whether the chocks are removed and stowed securely in the baggage compartment. Pre-flight inspection. Completed. Make sure the pre-flight inspection and before entering cabin checklists are fully completed and all doors and hatches are secured. Passenger briefing completed. Brief your passengers about the use of seatbelts and headsets. The standard safety briefing card provided by Cessna can be used as a reference. You'll also verify whether the passengers are familiar with the aircraft entry and escape procedures, and you'll definitely want to inform the front passengers not to interfere with the flight controls. A typical passenger briefing will be conducted using the SAFETY acronym. S refers to seats and seat belts. Explain to passengers how to adjust the seating position. Draw particular attention to the fact that the seat back must be in the upright position during takeoff and landing. Explain how to fasten and unfasten the seat belts and that it's much easier to lock the seat belt prior to closing the door. A refers to air vents and air sickness. Explain how to open and close and direct the eyeball vents as a means to get fresh air. Talk about the actions in case of any discomfort. However, do not overstress the fact that one might become airsick. Just remind your passengers that they notify you well in advance when they're not feeling well. Also make sure you have those emergency bags ready for use. F refers to the fire extinguisher. Explain where the fire extinguisher is located and how to remove it from its bracket. In order to use a fire extinguisher, they will need to pull the safety pin out and direct the spray towards the base of the fire. E refers to emergency exits. To open the door in case of an evacuation, the door lever needs to be pulled fully aft and the door swung completely open. Pay special attention to leave the airplane towards the tail. Never evacuate towards the nose into the direction of the propeller or any engine which may be on fire. T refers to talking. Clearly explain your passengers when they are allowed to talk to you and when you would like them to remain silent. It might be handy to remind them of the airplane call sign and that whenever they hear that call sign, they keep a moment of silence, allowing you to respond to the call. Also, encourage them to talk about anything they feel apprehensive about. Things which might appear normal to us as pilots might seem normal to an unknown passenger. Also, ask your passengers to assist in keeping a proper lookout and ask them to tell so when they see another airplane or obstacle approaching. Also stress that the front passenger should not interfere with the flight controls and that the yoke and rudder pedals might move. A good briefing is always concluded by the opportunity to answer any question. So consequently, the letter Y refers to your questions. Seats and seat belts. Adjust and locked. Finally, verify if you have the correct seating position. Also verify if your passengers are comfortably seated. Brakes. Test and hold. Apply both toe brakes and verify whether you feel hydraulic pressure on both pedals. Also make sure to keep the brake applied. Never rely on a set parking brake. Circuit breakers. Check in. Pull the yoke aft. Feel with your hand and visually verify if no single circuit breaker has stripped. If a circuit breaker has stripped on the ground, you are allowed to perform a reset only once. If the reset is unsuccessful, the plane should be serviced. Electrical equipment. Off. Make sure all electrical switches, including the lights, pitot heater and cabin power are in the off position. Avionics switch 1 and 2 off. Verify if both avionics switches are in the off position in order to avoid possible damage to the avionics during engine start. Fuel selector valve both. Most likely the fuel selector will be on a single tank to prevent cross-feeding between the tanks while the aircraft was parked. Fuel shut-off valve on. Verify the fuel shut-off valve has been fully pushed in. Upon completion of the checklist, we call out before starting engine checklist completed. Now, this completes the full in-depth before starting engine checklist. If you have any questions, comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching again. I hope you enjoyed this before starting engine checklist tutorial. If you like our videos, don't forget to subscribe. Stay safe and join our personal training in style.